Hello and welcome. You're watching Cricbuzz Live. My name is Tanay Tiwari. India, Afghanistan, both teams playing their last game in this Asia Cup 2022. Of course, both have crashed out, won't make it to the final. India winning this game by a huge margin of 101 runs. Afghanistan put India into bat. Virat Kohli ended that century drought with a spectacular 122 not out. India notched on the board 212 runs for the loss of just 2 wickets. Afghanistan came out and were blown away by Bhuvneshwar Kumar. Never a match. 111 is all they could manage at the end of 20 overs. India winning the game by 101 runs, but at one point, it did seem like the game could get over very soon. Very, very soon, like Combok soon. With me, Mr. Harsha Bhogle, Mr. Parthiv Patel. But this was, it was paperwork, largely, towards the end.
And when was the last time a 5 for 4 in a T20 game wouldn't get you a Player of the Match award?
Wow. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
5 for 4, all in one burst. And it wasn't, sometimes you look at bowling figures and they don't tell you the story because one was caught top edge down to fine leg, one was caught slogging deep mid-wicket, one over extra cover. These were all proper bowlers' wickets, 5 for 4. But the game was set up, so Virat Kohli will get the Player of the Match.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they weren't in this game. The moment they came out to bat, they weren't in this game. It's not to take anything away from Bhuvi, but they were just not in this game.
And the way Virat Kohli batted, the way he set up the game, he had to be, of course, the Player of the Match, as Harsha said. But the one question perhaps that he's answered now, Virat Kohli, coming into this Asia Cup, there were, of course, question marks around his place in the team. Some were questioning his approach, how would he bat, how would he fit into this new mode of T20 cricket batting by Team India. But now, perhaps, in this tournament, not only this century, but also his scores earlier, have put a rest to those question marks.
There was no question about Virat Kohli's place in the game. I think it was just about the form and look at this Asia Cup where he scored 276 runs. But yeah, as a player, the expectations are always high because he has set bar so much high.
Yeah,
we always talk about his hundreds. We always talk about those big scores and all of that. But he was scoring runs. It's not that he wasn't scoring runs. He was still getting 50s. But we were everyone's so obsessed about those hundreds that it wasn't coming. So there was never a question or never a doubt whether Virat Kohli will go to World Cup or not.
It was just a question of where he should bat in the order.
Yeah, I don't know, his place was never a thing.
Yeah,
and
not
for me,
you.
No, and same thing.
Where he should bat.
So for me, there was never a question in my mind. I personally
I agree. And I hope it's not made into a story because there was concern, yes. Yeah. And the concern was because you're Virat Kohli.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're Rahul Dravid, you're Tendulkar. You're condemned to be judged in different scales. You're Anil Kumble, you will be judged differently. You're Ravichandran Ashwin, you'll be judged differently. When you play at that level, people expect some things from you. So I don't think there was a question of whether Virat Kohli should be picked or no, but there was a concern about how he was going to play, whether he would get it right, including in the first game of the series against Pakistan, in that first game.
Yeah.
So I think you can say now, even though it was Afghanistan on an off day, it was a manner in which he played. Yes, you don't have to worry. And it'll be a very interesting problem of plenty. Whether he should open the batting or no. Yeah. But if Rohit Sharma is going to play in that Gango style that he has now got, then Virat Kohli is a very good partner. But if Rohit and Virat are going to play in the one-day style, then maybe there's still an issue. But otherwise, I think that's been solved.
PP Media, it's time you give that headline out already. Virat Kohli should open in the T20 World Cup alongside Rohit.
Oh, no? You need another headline, so I had to keep on talking for another month. I started talking 1 month before. Yeah, to me, I think it's very clear. If I was clear that Virat Kohli should be opening in Asia Cup, then he should be opening in World Cup as well. It just gives right balance. And to me, I agree with Harsha by what he said. That there are two kind of openers. There are two different kind of players. One goes very aggressively, can hit boundaries, and there is Virat Kohli also without losing his shape, without doing anything, finds gap and still keep on hitting boundaries. And both of them, if Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli can play till 6 overs, I have no doubt, even in Australian conditions, India more often than not will get score around 50. And you get around 50 in those conditions, I think that's a pretty good score without losing a wicket. Plus, Virat Kohli is the best batsman suited on those conditions. Technically, probably India's best batsman. So why not just new ball will be key playing in Australia. So we don't want a situation where 10 for 2. But you've got your two best batsmen just playing for 6 overs. If you have wickets in hand, that's always been the secret recipe of any T20 format, and which can work wonderfully.
What I'm actually hoping for is in the next 6 games that follow. As far as is possible, and Parthiv knows conditions far better than I do, as far as is possible, create slightly bouncy kind of pitches if you can, because India is going to play against two very high quality seam bowling attacks.
Yeah.
So if you can get, given the Indian conditions, as similar wickets as possible, it will be very good for Virat and Rohit to be playing against quality seam bowling early on. Now, I don't know whether, because Mohali slowed down a lot now, whether you can prepare good, true bouncy tracks.
So I was just going through the venues where they're going to play. So I think Mohali definitely can become, if they produce fresh wicket, Mohali can produce that bounce. Nagpur also can be flat, but you can still produce bounce. Hyderabad, I'm not sure. Hyderabad's always been, that's become slow. And Trivandrum, it is difficult. Trivandrum's always been a turner. Guwahati, again, black soil wicket, but Indore can be a wicket where they have, two red soil and black soil wickets in Indore center, but smaller ground, but you can still get bouncy wicket in Indore. So out of all these centers, India should try and, India has been challenging themselves to play on different wickets, different batting orders, and trying to be prepared for World Cup. And this could be the great suggestion, India could just, play on.
Your first game in the World Cup is against a really good fast bowling attack. But the two teams coming here will possess the same attack, because now everybody wants to play the T20 World Cup team in the build-up games.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Australia will come with a very good team. South Africa will come with a very good team. It's a great opportunity. India's two warm-up games are at the Gabba.
Yeah, they are.
So
which also is not such a bad thing.
Yeah, that is
Except that India don't play at the Gabba, but it's not such a bad thing.
Yeah, because Gabba, after Perth, Gabba is considered as the bounciest and the fastest wicket in Australia. But yeah, see, India's going to play a lot of games before World Cup as well. So India still have a time to answer those questions, whichever we think the right combination or not, or whether who will be your fifth bowler. The position is debating. We are debating in the position at number 7. Right? We're not debating anything more than that, probably 1, 2, 3. But all of that can be answered in this two series and the two warm-up games. But before warm-up games, ideally, I think they should be sure of their first game playing 11 at least.
That is true. They do go out of the Asia Cup on a high, but there are questions unanswered still. And perhaps the first one would be, what would your bowling attack look like? If everything is fine, everyone's fit, everyone in contention is fit, what would your bowling attack look like, BP?
Obviously, I think I'll go with my four fast bowler would be Bumrah, Harshal, Arshdeep, Bhuvi, and Mohammad Shami.
Okay.
You'll take 5 to Australia.
Bumrah, Arshdeep,
Harshal,
and Shami.
And Shami, 4.
Shami,
Okay.
so that's 4, and Hardik is my 5th. So those are the fast
leave
bowlers.
Bhuvi out then.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I know Bhuvi's got a 5 here and there, but I would still, if Harshal's fit, if Harshal's not fit, then
unless they take only 2 spinners.
They'll have to take 2. No, they can't take 2
Unless
spinners.
they take 2 spinners. Probably take Ashwin, Jadeja and
Aksar, Jadeja.
Sorry. My concern is the highs are coming after lows. You don't have to go through the lows to generate a high.
Yeah.
And so I hope by the time India go to the World Cup, they're surer of where they are, more certain, and you don't have to wait for a low, because in that T20 World Cup, you got 5 games. You got 2 big games at the start. Those to go, then there are no highs. So you must start with a high.
Yeah.
When India 2015 went to Australia, started with a high.
Yeah.
2011 started with a high, little dip, but again kept going. You have to start with a high.
Something that we saw in the last T20 World Cup as well, PP. Once the pressure was off, you were playing the games that were largely inconsequential. You saw the kind of freedom
they were
that...
not largely, they were completely inconsequential.
Yeah, but I think that it's very important to start tournament on a high, because usually because these are not longer tournaments. Like if you're playing 50 over World Cup where you're playing against each other, then if you lose one game, you still have time. But in this T20 World Cup, if you lose one, then you start doubting your whole method, and everything comes into play. But the chances of coming back into tournament are very less. So we always talk about teams can come back in IPL because you're playing 14 games. There's so much of time. Here, 5 games, you have to beat at least one team. Either that's going to be Pakistan or South Africa. And if you beat one of them, you can go straight into semi-final.
Yeah, but most likely West Indies will qualify through their come into India's group. Yeah, but with West Indies, the sum of the parts is always greater than the whole. The parts look very good. The whole doesn't seem to perform as well. But those first 2 games, you have to win one of those minimum. If you win both, you're laughing.
Yep.
Yeah, correct. But that approach will also be tested for India, the way they played in this Asia Cup. They'd like to continue with that aggressive approach as well. They, of course, I think, opened the tournament with playing Pakistan. And I mean, it's become a trend now. India play Pakistan in these multi-nation
It is
tournaments.
box office determined.
It is.
Absolutely. And at the MCG now. So we can expect a full house at the MCG.
It's for everyone. It's even for tournaments. Tournament should start on high so that you get the energy. And same goes with the Indian team and Pakistan together. Now Pakistan would come out, with a different mindset than which obviously they were not expecting India to beat by 10 wickets in last World Cup. But here, obviously, because they've beaten India once, and they've beaten India in that World Cup game, so they would be thinking different. They would think that we can beat this side, because before that they had no chance of beating India in any World Cup games for a long time. So yeah, there will be a different kind of challenge for India to get into World Cup.
Yeah. Would your bowling combination look the same as PP?
I think the last position always goes to the captain and coach and their concerns. So you pick 13, 14, you're almost certain. It depends if they want to take 3 spinners or 2. That will determine whether they take 5 quicks plus Hardik or 4 quicks plus Hardik. And I think I would look at Harshal's fitness.
Yeah,
because he has to play those 6 games if he has to go to Australia. You cannot break down midway through. So if Harshal is not fit, then I would go with these three and Bumrah.
Okay.
If Harshal is not fit. If Harshal is fit, yeah, I think...
So no Mohammad Shami in your team.
I would like ideally.
Yeah.
So, but for Shami to come, either Bhuvi or Arshdeep go out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so the thing. But if ball's not swinging in Australia, I personally, I would like to see Mohammad Shami in this team. Sure.
Well, all of us would. The way Mohammad Shami has bowled in the IPL, he's done everything right. But that's one question solved for Team India here.
I'll tell you what else. Sorry to interrupt you. I'll tell you what else he does. Shami is at his best at the start of an innings. You can actually finish Shami by 13, 14, much like people used to use Bhuvi. That leaves, if you're playing, say, Arshdeep, Bumrah and Shami, you can keep Arshdeep back. You can keep Bumrah a little bit back because Shami can give you 3 at the front. You want an attacking new ball bowler. And the reason Bumrah and Shami sort of complement each other well, Bumrah's good everywhere, but you can bowl Shami up front and keep Bumrah for the back.
Yep.
I think Mumbai needs to do that when Trent Bolt was bowling.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, I keep coming back to Mumbai Indians because we're talking Bumrah.
Because Mumbai Indians is the strongest, most...
Of course, go ahead. With all those superlative strongest,
the only reason I brought it up,
test ever.
Only reason I brought it up was the combination there was Trent Bolt was very good at the start, not as good back at the death.
Yeah, correct. But Mumbai Indians is the best test, of course, and we've got the best test scout here with us as well. So we've kind of answered one question for Team India, that bowling combination, we've taken their opinion. But another question staring them in the face after this Asia Cup is the DK problem. It's because you've brought DK in.
As a 6th bowler.
As a 6th bowler.
Yeah, I was about to bring that in a little later. But now, I mean, you played him, then you didn't play him, and finishing was a problem for India, even in this Asia Cup. I mean, the way they finished, they had good starts and yet could not finish. Do you still play DK as a designated finisher, or are you still looking at perhaps a Deepak Hooda who can give you an option? Now DK can as well.
No, he can't. The way he bowled today, he cannot.
Yeah.
I think there's an insurance. If you don't need to use DK, that means you've batted really well. Where was he not used? He was not used against Pakistan because Hardik had finished it off really well in the first game. Not required today because we saw another Virat special after a long time. So I think he's there as an insurance. If he doesn't bat, actually it means you've done pretty well. So I would have him because he slots in that number 6, number 7, number 6 now with no Jadeja, number 6 definitely. So I think it works over there. And even as keeping, he's standing back, so it's not a problem. I mean, it's not that he's not good standing front, but in Australia, you need largely a standing back keeper.
Would you agree?
Yeah, but you've designated, you have a designated role for him. You've invested in him for a long time. Yeah. It's not after IPL, he's almost played every series and he batted at 6-7. He doesn't come up unless it's been forced to, because if India is 50 for 5 or something, only then. And then also there also is one games. He has one game against South Africa, and he has one game for RCB as well. One of the game where he scored 80 not out or 70 not out. But yeah, I mean, you need someone who can finish the game. If DK is I personally feel that if he's there in the side, you've got him in the side, so I might as well just play him.
Yeah, they'll probably take both of them anyway.
Yeah.
They'll probably take Rishabh and DK.
But slot DK ahead of Deepak Hooda is what you're saying.
Oh, definitely.
In the playing 11 maybe.
Oh, yeah.
And then who would the top 6 look like?
Depends on what you do with KL Rahul.
Yeah.
Now that PPPedia has decided that Virat is opening the batting, maybe you can actually bat Rahul at 3 or 4 with Surya. Maybe Rahul 3, Surya 4.
And then 5,
Hardik 5, DK 6.
I mean, Pant Kand.
Then you can't play Pant.
Then you can't play.
Or you say, okay, I'll play Pant at 3.
Yeah.
But Pant at the moment seems to be like whichever tire you want to change, he's the designated tire.
Yeah.
Stepney, yeah.
The spare tire.
Stepney, yeah. So
Which is not fair to him, but yeah.
Yeah, correct.
But so I would play Pant. I would play Kohli, Rohit, Surya and Rishabh Pant 3-4, 5 Hardik, 6 DK, 7 Harsha Patel, and then 3 Seamers and Chahal.
That's how it looks. It's very interesting, and as we've kept discussing for a while now, India have so many of these options, and of course only 11 can play. So the combination has to be right, because we've been discussing that as well. The combination has to be struck, and as you said, it has to be struck in these 6 games. At least you should be mentally prepared and mentally sure of what combination you'd like, and perhaps a plan B as well.
The only thing is, if you don't have Deepak Chahar, if you don't have Harshal Patel, is Bhuvi good enough for you to bat at number 8?
No.
Interesting.
Or are you going to play both Ashwin and Akshar 7 and 8 to try and solve that problem? But Chahal is actually, I mean, he has his off days, but he's bowled really well. Then you don't have that powerful finishing kick to your batting.
Now, I mean, I know it's India versus Afghanistan, and we've only talked about India because it was that kind of a game. Afghanistan were very, very down and out. But they shouldn't lose heart from this game. I mean, the way they've performed in this Asia Cup, they've stood up, and as we were talking, they've really looked the big boys in the eye and said, we belong here and we want to play at this stage. Give us more.
Yeah, they certainly did. I thought, they batted really well. They bowled really well throughout this tournament. The way they started this tournament, just they've blown away Sri Lanka in under 10 overs.
Yeah.
And there have been a lot of performances which, they can be proud of. Obviously, if you're slightly inexperienced side, sometimes when you get so many close games, once they start to learn finishing of the games, I think, they'll be very confident going into their skills, because every team, when we see they have skill, every player, if we look at they have 3 quality spinners, they've got 2 good genuine bowlers who can bowl. Navin-ul-Haq's not playing, but batting is strong. So I think there's no reason why Afghanistan can't do well even at the World Cup. I think
they're playing at this level 4-5 years.
Yeah.
Before that, they were challengers all the time. They started to do well. They're playing this level about 3-4 years, really. 3-4 years is very young in the life of a country. You're still learning.
Yeah.
So what they did at the start of the tournament was sensational. But with a team that is at this stage of their evolution, you will get these ups and downs.
Yeah, correct. And they should understand that, because they go out with a lot of positives. Look at that squad. Najibullah Zadran, he's proven himself. Then you saw Rahmanullah Gurbaz, I think the second highest run scorer. In Ibrahim Zadran, they have a proper anchor around whom the others can bat. Then there's, of course, Nabi Rashid, who you don't have to talk about much. Mujib has bowled really well. And then you have the pacers. So they go out
if they
with
had
a lot
a quality
of positives.
4. They need a quality number 4. I don't know if Najib Zadran can bat at 4, then Nabi 5. They tried Kareem Jannat. But they need that one strong middle order batsman, and I think they'll be a much better side.
And there's one name which we can just see in the lighter thing is Noor Ahmed.
Yeah.
He's a left-arm Chinaman.
Yeah.
He's brilliant. I've seen him bowled in nets, seen him bowled in practice games and stuff. I think, we have to mark that name in dark very soon. I think once he gets his games, I think he's going to make a name for himself.
Such is the talent pool for Afghanistan. I mean, there are players like Qais Ahmed sitting out, who's a great wrist spinner as well, does very well in the Big Bash League. So they do have the talent pool, and they'd be itching to go to the T20 World Cup again.
These guys have played in Australia.
Yeah, a lot of
Rashid's
them.
been playing in Australia for the last 5 or 6 years. Nabi is regular at the Big Bash. Mujib is
plays.
regular at the Big Bash. So the bowlers at least have played there a little bit.
And they'd be itching to go there. I mean, the way they performed here, they saw the possibility perhaps in front of them this time around. They saw that it could be done. I mean, of course, they couldn't close the games, as PP said, but they saw the possibility. They saw that dream very close.
Yes, they'll still want in their evolution to be able to prevent the meltdowns.
Yeah.
So that game against Pakistan was such a key for them. Just to hold their nerve. At that point, if they held their nerve, we were one of the biggest wins for them.
Yeah.
So they'll learn that also.
They will. They will with time. Afghanistan, this team has such good talent. Their time will surely come, and this Asia Cup is a testament to that fact. Now then, we've wrapped this game up. India versus Afghanistan. Now to the dress rehearsal of the final. Yes, you heard that right. Pakistan and Sri Lanka played twice. Sri Lanka versus Pakistan, the last game of this Super 4. Both teams riding high on confidence, especially Sri Lanka. PP, the way they've turned their fortunes around after that first game against Afghanistan, they've been brilliant.
Yeah, they should be really proud of themselves. Probably when the tournament started, I don't think anybody thought that. Everyone was talking that Afghanistan will beat Sri Lanka, and then Sri Lanka might just get knocked out of the tournament. But when your backs are against the wall, and when you come out and perform like this, you're finishing at the top of the table that no one would have thought of. So I think everyone played their role. If you look at their numbers also, if Sri Lanka's performance throughout the tournament, you will not see an outstanding performer. You will see everyone's done a bit of their whatever they've been asked for it, and so I think you got to give credit. I think not to individuals, but the way Sri Lanka came out as a team with a lot of spirit, maybe whatever ignited them, they came in and did their job. And Captain Dasun Shanuka, we usually don't talk much about him and his captaincy skills and the way he's been finishing the games. So that is also quite handy. They've got players who can finish the game, so which is pretty good sign for Sri Lanka. And then we've been talking about their rebuilding for a year and a half and all of that. Now we can say that, I can't say that they've completed that process, but whatever their process was going on, they're on the right track right now.
Yeah, I'd like to see them how they play against the best bowling attack in the competition.
Yeah,
because they've been adopting this very aggressive style where everyone just keeps going, but now they're up against a team with 3 genuine fast bowlers in them. So it'll be interesting to see how Asalanka and Mendes and Rajapaksa and the others, Nisanka, how they go after a relatively quicker bowling attack. If they can do that, then they'll be fantastic. I mean, you can use any of those. Naseem, they're playing Naseem, Hasnain and Haris Rauf, all 3 quick bowlers.
Yeah.
All 3 will get bounce on the Dubai pitch. So I'll be interested in seeing how that battle happens.
It will be a battle between their batters and the pacers from Pakistan.
Pakistan's probably got the best fast bowling attack certainly in this tournament, and they can swing it. We saw what they could do against every side. So yeah, and when you already played in Sharjah, for Sri Lanka, it'll be a bigger challenge now, where to adjust to this Dubai's wicket, where there is a bit of bounce there. They could be playing on a fresher wicket as well. So it'll be a challenge for Sri Lanka for sure.
And for both countries, this game is more than cricket, because both countries can do with as much good news as they can get. Pakistan, not just from an economic point of view, but because of terrible floods, they're going through a really difficult time financially with the floods and everything. They could do with good news in that country. And Sri Lanka, we all love Sri Lanka. They could do with some real good news. And we saw when cricket went to Sri Lanka, when Australia went, they just lifted the country. You never lift people with sport from financial conditions, but there's just that whole feel-good thing.
Yeah.
So for both countries, there's a feel-good opportunity here, which is what sport can do up to a point.
But for both the countries, there's also an objective to achieve. Now, this isn't the final. This is a dress rehearsal of the final. Yes. So what do? Do they empty their bench? Do they not show all their cards, perhaps not show all their ploys, strategize differently, make changes?
I think both the teams are playing the best 11. I think it's not that they're hiding anyone, or they're not saying that we've got a weapon and we're not going to show it throughout the tournament. So they both are playing their best 11. Both teams are playing the best cricket, and every game which they would try to play, then they played with almost full 11. So I don't think that will be a concern. If I was in both the camps, I would have play a game with the same 11 which I would be playing in the finals, and see what happens in this game, and then try and gain that experience and use it in the final. So because final will be a different final, automatically becomes a different game altogether. So it'll be about handling nerves. It'll be about handling the situation. Remember, the Sri Lankan team is young. They're coming into final after a long time. So it'll all be about playing that moment and be rest assured in the final, where they go confidently into it.
So no changes for you unless forced to both teams?
No, I don't think so.
There are no hiding places in T20 cricket anyway. Everyone knows everything about every player with modern analytics.
Yeah.
With modern analytics, video replays, everybody knows everything about everyone anyway. And actually, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, they see a bit of each other. Because they play in each other's leagues. The two players go and play against each other a fair bit. So they know a lot about each other. And absolutely sorry with Parth. You play your best 11 in the first game, and you play your best 11 in the next game.
Edge then. Which team has the edge?
I don't know. I mean, if you go man to man, you would say Pakistan has a better side. But this T20 cricket, we've seen funny things happen. So I would still say that Pakistan will go in this tournament with an edge. But yeah, I mean, you can't count out Sri Lanka anyway.
Definitely Pakistan favourites in this game.
Yeah.
But if Sri Lanka can continue playing their fearless style and it comes off, in T20 any team can upset any team. That's the fun thing about T20 cricket.
These two teams are fired up then. Pakistan and Sri Lanka both are coming off a high. Both would want to make a statement heading into that Asia Cup final. This, remember, is the dress rehearsal. But we don't give any dress rehearsals for the joy factor question. It's a straight up question and you got to answer it. Let's have a look at the joy factor question for the day. For 3 of the 5 times this has happened in the IPL, Virat Kohli has been involved once and AB de Villiers has been involved twice. Identify the achievement. Let's have a look at the answer for today's Joy Factor question. And the answer is 200 plus partnerships in the IPL.
Yeah.
Did we crack it in here? I think you did.
Harsha did.
Yes.
Harsha did, yeah.
200 plus. But what I got wrong was I thought AB and Virat had a 200 plus partnership. I seem to remember in that game against Gujarat Lions,
yeah.
where AB had gone off initially and got 100, and AB and Virat were laughing after every over, and you could lip read and saying, "Are you going for this?" And Virat said, "Yes, I'm going." And there was a blitzkrieg at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, the Virat of 2016 was playing on a different planet. So I thought that was the clue. I thought that would have been the game where they'd put on 200. I must check actually. Should have checked.
What's the answer that you thought?
I thought
it was actually.
no, that was Harsha's answer was right.
They did put on 200 together,
yeah.
didn't they?
Yeah. So I thought the 100, both the batsmen getting 100.
Okay.
So that's something which I'd thought of.
Off day for PPPD. The one Joy Factor question he couldn't crack out of 10.
See, that's what I want. I want people to make me look good.
That's true. Let's have a look at who didn't have an off day. Who's the winner for the Joy Factor today? It's Abhijit NS. Abhijit Shet 7. Thank you so much, Abhijit. You're the winner. You answered correctly and very quickly.
Yesterday also he got it right.
Oh, he did? No,
yeah, Abhijit.
Okay.
We are all very good at knowing our competition.
Yeah,
That's
Abhijit.
why PP always knows who's getting it right.
Correct.
Abhijit got it right.
Watch out, bro. Watch out. PPPD is watching you out as competition. PPPD will get back soon.
Now my competition is over. I'm done.
Oh, yeah. PPPD is going now. Yeah.
He'll use all the knowledge from here and give it into the 2 different dressing rooms.
Yeah. So if you see us using our phones during Cricbuzz Live from here on, remember that PPPD is just sending us notes on WhatsApp.
So and remember we stream worldwide. I won't be in India, so I will definitely be.
Yeah, but
Cricbuzz
you'll
live,
also keep sending us notes, no?
Yeah, I will. I won't leave the group. If you forget anything to ask, I'll message you. Then you have to ask.
Classic PPP. But what a great day it was. Virat Kohli's 71st century finally here. He batted like the Virat Kohli of old times. India going out of the Asia Cup on a high with a win. Still with a lot of questions, but with a win nonetheless. Thank you so much for enjoying it with us. Thank you, Harsha. Thank you, Parthiv. Thank you to all of you as well. We'll see you again tomorrow. Pakistan, Sri Lanka, ahead of that one final time in this Super 4. But that's all that we have for you on Cricbuzz Live today. My name is Tanay Tiwari. See you all super soon.